appreciate the honesty there. That's true. That's got to be a little rough. But Randy, let's start on the Chiefs. We'll get back to what this means for the Dolphins later. This Chiefs offense, we've been talking about it every week. When were they going to figure it out? When were they going to find the guy? When you have a guy like Tyreek Hill coming, the reminder of what you once had. Do you think the offense figured it out last night?
No, it was just good to really see someone else step up. You know, all the woes and all the flaws in the last 2 months for the Kansas City Chiefs. It was just good to see Rashee Rice, the rookie, step up when everybody was just talking about the chemistry between Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. But everybody was talking about the cold weather. And when you look at the way this game started, yes, nerves got the best of some of the guys with a couple drops, but it seems like as the game went on, it's like the Kansas City Chiefs found their groove. And once they found their groove, Bruce, you just said it, man, it's like everybody wanted to get in on it.
Yeah, because like you said, Kelce had a couple drops early on. Rashee Rice had a drop early on, I think it was too. But it's just who could settle in to playoff football better. And it was clear that the Miami Dolphins did struggle in the weather. Looking at Tua's throws and the way the velocity that those had compared to Patrick Mahomes, Rex, they were coming out of his hand like rockets. I mean, he's used to throwing in that. He's just got an arm that can't be matched, and that was really the difference.
Rex, you talked about teams that were built for January football yesterday, and one team was unaffected by sub-zero temps, and it was the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Patrick, I mean, he was slinging it all over the place. They looked like they were built for this. And on the flip side, like on their other side, you know, the Dolphins, I mean, they didn't look the same, right? This team that hung 70 on the Broncos in September, you know, in warm weather, did not look the same at all. And I think the rest of the AFC took note of this. Again, the Dolphins, the number one offense in the NFL, got held to 7 points. They had 150 yards through 3 quarters. I mean, this Kansas City Chiefs defense is elite. And you put Patrick on top of that and the way this offense played yesterday, I mean, look out.
Yeah, let's dig deeper in that. When I talked about Miami as a team that's built to win in September through November, okay? And over the last 2 years, 16-6. All right, that's pretty darn good.
Yep.
But championship teams are built to win in December and January. Miami's record, 4-10. All right, let's take a look at Kansas City's over the last 5 years. Championship teams are built to win in December and January. They're 30-6 over the last 5 years.
Yep.
Did this not look like the best Kansas City Chief team that we've seen all season?
Yes.
It sure did.
And I would say, especially on the defensive side of the ball, in terms of how their defense is playing, it was great to see Bolton playing well again. Karlaftis got a sack and a half, I think it was. And the coverage, what Spagnuolo does with McDuffie, with Reed, with these safeties and how they move. We're watching the game and watching safety movement like they're coming down to cover one, but is that cover two? Spinning safeties right here. Take a look at this, because is it too high? And then that's pre-snap movement. Then, oh, wait, okay, now they're coming down, right? But then they spin all the way back to too high. It's like, take another look at this and how these safeties are actually spinning in motion here. Rex, what are you seeing here?
They're disguised in one hole. That's why they show it earlier. And here's what happens. He makes Tua hold the football. Tua is one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League when he can throw the ball on rhythm, but becomes very average when he has to extend plays. Nobody knows it better than Spagnuolo. He did a tremendous job. But that one right there, like, I've seen a lot of creative defenses, but showing like the one hole and then spinning the two-man.
That was impressive.
Like, oh, it was crazy. But Spagnuolo does this, and really, he's at his very best this time of the year as well. Playoffs, Spagnuolo, like, okay, sometimes, you know, he's a good coordinator. He becomes a great coordinator in January, playoff time and stuff. There's really almost nobody better than him, and he's done it years and years.
The defense obviously has looked good, but that hasn't been the question this year. The defense has kind of been carrying them throughout this year. Alex, you know this offense so well. You've watched them so much. Does this look, the team you saw last night, does this look like an offense that can get back to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that jumped out to me, and I was talking to Rex about this morning, the offensive line played great. Kansas City's offensive line played great. And if you're going to give Patrick that kind of time, listen, I've been texting with him a bunch these last several weeks. This guy was motivated. They've been hearing the noise this entire season. They're still the defending champs. And if this offensive line can play the way they did last night, giving him this kind of time, running the football effectively, look out. I mean, this guy, he is dialed in. I mean, he had the killer instinct last night on those runs, Rex, like you were talking about. He stood in there in cover zero. Vic Fangio and the Dolphins brought cover zero 34 times last night, and he stood in there and dealt. I mean, the rest.
I'm with you, and we should be excited about that, yes, for Kansas City. But, I mean, this is a defense that didn't have edge rushers, that were bringing guys in off the street, that was really depleted defensively. It'll get tougher for them going forward. I mean, right tackle, keep on watching that right tackle position as a weakness for the Kansas City offense. But like last night, they blocked all the zeros. And yes, if it doesn't matter who's out there, that's who was out there, and they got them blocked.
Yeah, I got to say this. I mean, because you're right. Like Sam, we started the show saying, well, I thought the kid would be held, Rashee Rice would be held under 60 yards. I meant 160 yards. Oh, my gosh. And to me, that's what's been missing.
Right.
Where is that guy outside of Travis Kelce? If this kid continues to play like that,
And speaking on that, the Miami Dolphins they were forced to have to try to get the ball back, so that forced them into man coverage. You talking about anybody else other than Kelce? I need somebody else than Kelce and Rice to step up. You talking about a championship caliber team? Supporting cast needs to step up other than the other two to make it to the Super Bowl.
I know the Dolphins defense was beat up and depleted. Their offense wasn't. They were at full strength and on the road. Again, the best offense in the NFL got held to 7. And again, 150 yards through 3 quarters.
They didn't run the ball.
Yeah, true.
They tried to shoot out with Patrick Mahomes with Tua Tagovailoa, 39 attempts to 41 attempts. So that's really what hurt the Miami Dolphins. Hopefully, Mike McDaniel, the head coach, can take some from this game. Achane and Mostert has been phenomenal in the running game for them. You go into a cold climate into Kansas City and try to shoot out with Patrick Mahomes. That was not a winning
formula. And you're also doing motions. You're trying your same motions, double motions here and there. The play clock goes down, and all of a sudden, here comes something from Spags, and you can't diagnose it.
Around.
He's spinning safeties, but you're trying to do your operation that you've done throughout the course of the year. In other words, you are what you are. There was no change.
Couldn't adjust.
Man, the temperature changed, the situation changed. There is an element of that football where you got to start running the football. Right. I agree with you totally, Moss. They did not try.
It's a built-in excuse about the Miami Dolphin defense. No, cover zero is not about your one-on-one guys. It's about beating the protection. Alex, you were talking about how that protection held up against cover zero. There was no free runners going at Patrick.
Right.
And to me, that is amazing. All right, 30-some times he's going cover zero. That ain't about your edge pass rushers. That's about trying to beat a protection. Check Andy Reid and company. They got it done.
Am I hearing y'all correctly right now that the biggest concern coming out of this game for the Dolphins were coaching issues?
Oh, I think so.
On offense? Sam, I really believe with all the talk about the temperature change. We talked yesterday about the ball, how the ball was going to be so cold. You see the mistakes early in the game. But I just said, for them to really run Pacheco 24 attempts, Mostert and Achane, 8 attempts, 6 attempts, that's not playing to a winning formula, knowing that you're going in a cold climate weather.
Trying to win when the snow flies, all right? Championship team, you have to win when the snow flies. And this team, unfortunately, they got to take a hard look, all right? You're great, you're creative and stuff like that when the weather's right, and I get it, man. You're great at home, September through November. You got to take a hard look offensively and say, hey, wait a second. How are we going to take the next level? Well, I'm going to tell you how. You got to be able to run the ball downhill on people. You got to be able to get the ball out of your hand. Expand those receivers.
Yes.
Don't condense the splits. Expand them.
Maybe the head coach doesn't know that. The head coach knows one way, and that's it. You went from scoring 70 points to 7. Okay, 70 points, and everything's great. But then all of a sudden, we talked about it all year. When it comes down to it, there's more to football, especially winning championships, than just fast break football. And I understand sometimes also the way McDaniels handles his players and the attitude that McDaniels has about just the different way that he is. Man, it takes a hard team, a hard man to go up into that with a team and win in those elements against a championship ball club with a veteran coach like Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Are you talking about a need for drastic changes when it comes to coaching staff or anything, or are these just adjustments you make in the offseason and get back at it?
And Mike McDaniels, he can change. I think he's smart enough to change and see that, man, this is what I tried all year, but it's like, man, when it comes down to it, I do need to alter the way I see offensive football because, truthfully, if you want to go big picture on the Miami Dolphins, they lost last night, yes, but they really lost versus Tennessee also. And did they lose focus going down the stretch? And why did they lose focus when you should have easily won that? The division was theirs to be had.
Yep. Yes.
But they just kept faltering and faltering and faltering. All right? Mike McDaniels, can you get this team to play when they have to play? And that's in December because a defense can't look at its offense and say, we're going to get 35. I know, let's go out there and get some sacks. It's not going to be that way. So I think that Mike McDaniels can learn from this and become a better coach, absolutely.
I thought you might be putting him in the Belichick sweepstakes. I was going to say that could get real interesting. He's going to be all right. This is also a coach whose team beat the Cowboys this year. So there's been real positives and real negatives. It's been a bit of a roller coaster.